Up to 76% of honey sold in US grocery stores isn't actually honey. It's ultra-filtered corn syrup with the pollen stripped out, so you can't prove what you're really eating. Today we're exposing 7 honey brands selling you liquid fraud, plus 5 champions that still remember bees exist. The Sue Bee brand emerged in the 1960s with that iconic bee mascot, representing wholesome American agriculture and the kind of cooperative spirit that built rural America. For over a century, Sue Bee traded on heritage, wholesome imagery, and the promise that cooperative ownership meant quality you could trust. The friendly bee mascot appeared on millions of breakfast tables, representing everything pure about American honey production. In 2013, Sue Bee was caught knowingly selling honey contaminated with chloramphenicol, a banned antibiotic linked to bone marrow suppression, plastic anemia, and leukemia. The contaminated honey looked unnaturally clear and smooth, lacking the cloudiness and pollen that characterize real honey. The company never fully disclosed the contamination extent, issued no recalls, and quietly paid fines while continuing to sell potentially dangerous honey to unsuspecting families. The antibiotic poses particularly severe risks to children and seniors, the exact demographics most likely to trust a wholesome bee mascot. Sue Bee proved that even century-old cooperatives will sacrifice customer safety for profit margins, turning America's most trusted honey brand into a public health hazard with acute mass. Walmart's Great Value private label launched in 1993 as part of their strategy to dominate every grocery category through aggressive pricing and massive distribution. Their honey represents the ultimate triumph of corporate cost-cutting over actual food production. It's cheaper than real honey because it's not actually honey. This golden imposter became America's most popular honey through sheer ubiquity and pricing that makes real honey seem overpriced. At half the cost of legitimate raw honey, Great Value honey appears in millions of pantries nationwide, convincing families they're buying nature's sweetener at discount prices. Laboratory testing revealed the horrifying truth. This honey contains corn syrup, rice syrup, and cane sugar derivatives chemically blended to mimic honey, with 100% of pollen ultra-filtered away to hide the evidence. The product looks perfectly smooth, shiny, never crystallizes, and behaves like biologically dead syrup because that's exactly what it is. The ultrafiltration process removes all evidence of adulteration while creating honey that causes blood sugar spikes, identical to table sugar. Europe bans ultra-filtered honey outright, but American consumers get to play Russian roulette with their pancakes every morning. Walmart created the perfect crime, selling corn syrup at honey prices while making customers think they're getting a bargain on nature's sweetener. Wholesome Sweeteners positions itself as the premium organic choice for health-conscious consumers, complete with USDA certification and marketing that implies pesticide-free purity. The brand targets families willing to pay extra for organic products that promise to protect their children from chemical contamination. This honey became popular among health-conscious parents who trusted organic certification to guarantee chemical-free sweeteners for their families. The premium pricing and organic labeling created expectations of purity that justified choosing it over conventional alternatives. Independent 2019 testing found glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup weed killer, at 123 parts per billion. Multiple laboratories confirmed the contamination. The problem happens because bees fly up to 3 miles from their hives to collect pollen, including from farms sprayed with herbicides that organic certification can't control. The World Health Organization says glyphosate probably causes cancer. It's linked to endocrine disruption and developmental damage, especially dangerous for pregnant women and kids. The USDA allows up to 1,000 parts per billion in honey, 10 times higher than what these tests found, but critics say that's way too high for a probable carcinogen. Wholesome Sweeteners exploits organic certification loopholes to sell contaminated honey at premium prices, proving that organic labels can't protect consumers from environmental contamination that regulatory agencies ignore. Billy Bee trades on Canadian imagery and wholesome bear mascots to suggest pure honey from the Great White North, where pristine wilderness supposedly produces superior sweeteners. The product of Canada labeling creates expectations of quality that Canadian food standards should guarantee. This honey became popular among Americans who associate Canadian products with higher quality and stricter food safety standards. The friendly bear mascot and maple leaf imagery suggested honey from pristine Canadian forests rather than industrial processing facilities. A 2020 class action lawsuit accused Billy Bee of cutting their honey with corn and rice syrups. Laboratory testing found sugar ratios that didn't match real honey. Internal company emails showed executives knew about the blending but kept marketing it as pure honey anyway. Here's the kicker. The bulk honey actually comes from Asia, not Canadian beekeepers. Corn and rice syrups get mixed in to fake the honey's thickness and sweetness. This fake honey has 0 vitamins, 0 antioxidants, and 0 antimicrobial benefits. Worse, it causes dangerous blood sugar spikes for diabetics who thought they were buying a safer sweetener. Billy Bee exploited Canadian national pride to sell Americans corn syrup with a bear mascot, proving that even the friendliest packaging can hide the most cynical food. Kroger's private label honey promises affordable purity for budget-conscious shoppers seeking real honey without premium pricing. The pure honey labeling suggests quality that Kroger's reputation for value should guarantee, making it the default choice for families doing weekly grocery shopping. This honey became popular through Kroger's massive distribution network and pricing that makes it accessible to families who can't afford specialty honey but still want something better than corn syrup. Well, that trust gets immediately tested. The honey is ultra-filtered with 0 pollen, making it impossible to trace where it actually came from. FDA alerts have linked similar products to Chinese imports contaminated with lead, a neurotoxin that causes permanent brain damage. Independent labs found rice syrup markers, proving the honey was deliberately cut with cheaper ingredients to boost profits. Here's the red flag. Kroger's retail price often sits below what it actually costs to produce real honey at wholesale. That means they're systematically adulterating it to keep profit margins up while selling lead-contaminated sweeteners to unsuspecting families. Kids face the biggest risk because their developing brains are most vulnerable to lead poisoning. Kroger created honey so cheap it's literally toxic, proving that some bargains cost more than money. They cost brain cells. Lang Honey markets itself as premium European honey with sophisticated branding that suggests old-world craftsmanship and quality standards that American honey can't match. The German origin and higher price point create expectations of superior quality that European food regulations should guarantee. This honey became popular among consumers who associate European products with stricter food safety standards and traditional production methods. The premium pricing and sophisticated packaging suggested honey worthy of the European reputation for quality food production. Lang honey was found contaminated with nitrofurane metabolites and streptomycin residues, banned antibiotics linked to cancer. These antibiotics are illegal in food production. Despite scandals in 2002 and 2006, plus regulatory fines, the company kept exporting contaminated honey to the U.S. with barely any recalls. These antibiotic residues mess up your gut bacteria, increase antibiotic resistance, and can cause birth defects in unborn babies. The EU actually bans these antibiotics in food production, but Lang keeps selling contaminated honey to Americans that would be illegal to sell in their own country, banking on the fact that consumers trust European quality standards. Lang Honey proves that European sophistication can hide American-style corporate negligence, selling cancer-linked antibiotics disguised as premium European honey. Dutch Gold honey emerged in 1946 when 2 Pennsylvania beekeepers decided that small-scale production was for suckers, eventually building one of America's largest honey processing and packaging operations. The company transformed from regional beekeepers into industrial honey processors, whose massive facility in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, handles millions of pounds annually. This honey became the default choice for food service operations, bakeries, and institutional buyers seeking maximum volume at minimum cost. The enormous distribution network made Dutch Gold honey ubiquitous in restaurants, cafeterias, and those little plastic bears that appear on diner tables nationwide, creating the illusion that this mass-produced product represents what honey should taste like. Independent laboratory testing consistently reveals ultrafiltration so aggressive that pollen counts hit absolute zero. The processing transforms raw honey into crystal-clear, shelf-stable syrup that never crystallizes, never clouds, and behaves like it was designed in a chemical plant rather than collected from actual hives. The honey flows like water instead of the thick, viscous liquid that characterizes authentic honey, with color so uniform across batches that it screams industrial standardization. Consumer testing groups found sugar profiles inconsistent with single-source honey, suggesting blending practices designed to stretch real honey with cheaper alternatives while maintaining that golden appearance. Dutch Gold proves that being one of America's oldest honey companies doesn't mean selling America's most honest honey, just the most aggressively processed honey that technically qualifies as food. Some companies still remember that honey should come from bees, not chemistry labs. Raw Manuka Honey Co. launched in 2017 with a revolutionary concept. What if genuine New Zealand Manuka honey didn't require taking out a second mortgage? The company sources exclusively from New Zealand's remote Manuka bush regions, while maintaining certifications that competitors charge double to provide. This honey became popular among health-conscious consumers who understood Manuka's benefits but couldn't justify Wetherspoon's premium pricing for regular use. The company bridges the gap between mass-market fraud and luxury pricing, making functional honey accessible to families who want medicinal benefits without specialty store markups. Each jar displays certified MGO ratings from 100 plus to 850 plus, with UMF certification that guarantees authenticity in a market flooded with fake Manuka honey from countries that don't even have Manuka bushes. The thick, dark amber honey delivers the characteristic earthy, slightly medicinal flavor with herbal undertones that prove you're getting actual Manuka rather than regular honey with a fancy label. The antibacterial properties provide the same MRSA-fighting, wound-healing, digestive-supporting benefits as premium competitors while costing 30 to 40% less per ounce. The company maintains transparency about sourcing, processing, and testing that builds trust rather than marketing mystique, with third-party lab results available for customers who actually care about verification. Raw Manuka Honey Co. proves that premium honey doesn't require premium pricing when companies focus on value rather than lifestyle branding, making medicinal-grade honey accessible to regular families. Local Hive founder Nate Hester launched in 2010 after realizing that honey's greatest health benefit, building immunity to local pollen, required actual local honey rather than generic bottles claiming to be from somewhere in America. The company partners with regional beekeepers to create state-specific honeys that deliver legitimate local pollen exposure. This honey became essential for allergy sufferers who discovered that consuming local pollen through honey actually works for seasonal allergy relief, unlike the fake local honey that's actually blended from multiple continents. The clearly labeled state origins, Arizona, Texas, California, etc., provide transparency that mass-market brands deliberately obscure through vague product of USA claims. The raw, unfiltered honey maintains visible pollen that proves regional authenticity rather than industrial blending, with each variety reflecting the distinct floral characteristics of its region. Texas honey tastes different from Colorado honey because they actually come from different beekeepers working with different flowers, rather than the same processing facility. The local pollen provides genuine immune tolerance benefits for seasonal allergies, backed by research showing that regular consumption of local honey reduces allergy symptoms by exposing immune systems to regional allergens in manageable doses. The traceability to specific U.S. regions supports American beekeepers while delivering functional health benefits that generic honey can't provide. Local Hive proves that honey's value extends beyond sweetness when companies prioritize regional authenticity over cost optimization, creating products that function as both food and medicine. Nathan Nature Nate Sheets started his honey empire in 1996 as a post-honeymoon hobby, buying his first beehive and bottling honey from his McKinney, Texas garage. The grassroots approach was legendary. Nate personally visited Walmart stores, putting honey on shelves himself until landing a single sale that covered his family's living expenses for an entire year. The company grew from 7 employees working from his farmhouse to 100-plus employees with manufacturing in Texas and Georgia, becoming America's #1 branded honey company before Sweet Harvest Foods acquired them in 2022. This honey delivers everything that fake honey eliminates. It's raw, unfiltered, and unheated, preserving pollen and enzymes that provide traceability and health benefits. The physically cloudy appearance with visible pollen, thick texture that crystallizes naturally, and complex floral aromas prove you're getting actual honey rather than processed syrup. Third-party labs confirm 0 antibiotics, no pesticide residues, and sugar profiles consistent with genuine honey sourced exclusively from trusted U.S. beekeepers. The lower glycemic index, immune tolerance benefits from local pollen, and active enzymes provide wound healing and antimicrobial properties that processed honey destroys. At $11 to $12 for 32 ounces, Nature Nate's proves that transparent, clean honey doesn't require premium specialty pricing, making real honey accessible to families nationwide through major retailers. Madhava launched in 1973 as one of America's first organic honey producers, back when organic meant crazy hippie food rather than Whole Foods mainstream. The Colorado-based company spent decades perfecting organic beekeeping practices while competitors were still dumping antibiotics into hives and calling it standard practice. This honey appeals to families seeking certified organic products without the specialty store markup, delivering USDA organic certification that actually means something because Madhava controls their supply chain rather than hoping wild bees avoid pesticides. The company maintains partnerships with certified organic beekeepers who follow strict protocols that conventional operations ignore. The raw, unfiltered honey preserves all the characteristics that processing destroys: visible pollen, natural enzymes, and the thick texture that crystallizes naturally rather than staying suspiciously clear forever. Independent testing confirms 0 pesticide residues, no antibiotic contamination, and pollen counts that prove authenticity rather than industrial filtration. The rich, complex flavor profiles showcase what honey tastes like when bees actually forage on diverse organic flowers, rather than monoculture crops sprayed with chemicals. The active enzymes and full nutrient profile provide antimicrobial benefits, wound healing properties, and immune support that processed honey eliminates through aggressive filtration and heating. Madhava proves that organic certification delivers real value when companies actually commit to organic practices rather than exploiting regulatory loopholes, creating honey that justifies its premium positioning through legitimate quality rather than marketing buzz. EcoBee Farms represents 4 generations of hands-on beekeeping experience based in Illinois, pioneering organic beekeeping in the United States when most producers were still using chemicals and shortcuts. This family-owned operation understands that great honey starts with respecting bees rather than exploiting them. The honey is pure, unpasteurized, unfiltered, and fresh, straight from the hive with enzymes alive and nutrients preserved as whole food. The natural crystallization creates energy-packed raw honey with luscious consistency that happens naturally rather than through forceful processing designed to make it spreadable. The creamy texture with velvety smoothness demonstrates what honey should be when it's not destroyed by industrial processing. The light and rich flavor profile showcases the complex characteristics that processing eliminates, while active enzymes provide the full nutrient profile that makes honey valuable beyond simple sweetness. Professional taste tests consistently rank YS EcoBee Farms #1 as the honey lover's choice, proving that quality speaks louder than marketing budgets. The exceptional quality at reasonable pricing, $34 for larger quantities, makes premium honey accessible to families who appreciate the difference between real and processed honey. YS EcoBee Farms proves that the best honey comes from families who've dedicated generations to understanding bees, creating products that honor both the insects and the customers who appreciate authentic sweeteners. The honey aisle is where nature meets corporate greed, and guess which one usually wins? Your pantry deserves better than corn syrup with a bee on the label, masquerading as liquid gold that took millions of bees their entire lives to create. Choose the companies that respect both bees and customers, the ones using real honey, honest labeling, and production methods that preserve rather than destroy nature's perfect sweet.